my biggest concern with Islam is, right, any society historically that has put restrictions on free speech has devolved,
You're
is
highlighting.
regressive. Okay, free speech is the pillar of civilization. If you cannot think freely, if you cannot speak freely, humanity cannot progress. Now you may say, why do you need free speech to say bad things about such an important figure, which is Prophet Muhammad? I'm not asking for free speech to criticize the Prophet. No. I would prefer that nobody criticizes the Prophet. I would prefer that everybody worships the Prophet, right? Because he's a good man. Why should only the person with filthy mind would think of criticizing the Prophet for no reason? He does not exist. Even if you're not satisfied with somebody that he did in his life, that was hundreds of years ago, and you don't know the context of that time. I get all that. But whenever there's a law that is so harsh that you will kill somebody for saying something, for their free speech, that law is 100% going to be misused by the people in power who are not good, right? Because
You're raising a
whenever you apply restrictions, such harsh restrictions on free speech, then it's going to be misapplied, because who is to decide whether the blasphemy was done? Who is to decide that? Recently, I had a very deep conversation about Islam with my Muslim friend, and I learned a lot more about the religion. I'm fascinated by Islam, and if you watch videos on this channel, then you know that I find many things about Islam which are attractive, but I also have concerns, and those concerns are still lingering. This Muslim friend, although he said many things about Islam that I didn't know before, and I can say I like the religion a little more than I did before, but the serious concerns that I have are still intact. In fact, after learning certain things, those concerns are even more intensified, and now I'm even more conflicted. So I got to know more good things about the religion, and I got to know more weak spots about the religion, because of which the case against Islam, or the case for Islam rather, becomes weaker in my mind. I'll try to have a conversation again with Sesame AI, although I know that this AI in particular, does not want to say anything negative about Islam. It just says, I don't have any opinion. I don't want to have opinion. But then it would say positive things about Islam. Grok does not want to criticize Islam. So it may be fruitless, but it may be fruitful in that you will know what those points are in my mind, what those concerns are, and let's see how it goes.
well. If it isn't my favorite repeat caller, back for more, huh?
Yeah, let's talk about Islam. I want to ask you, Maya, whether
Ooh,
I want to ask you whether the world will be a better place if Islam was universally applied, meaning universally adopted rather, not not applied as in by force. If everybody in the world accepted Islam, will we better off or worse off?
that's a big question. It's kind of like asking if chocolate cake is better than pizza. Highly subjective, right? What one person sees as better depends on a lot of things.
See, this analogy that you gave, chocolate cake is better than pizza. Both are bad. So how, are you saying all religions are like junk food, that no matter which one you accept, the world will be a worse place if taken too seriously?
Whoa there, hold up. Saying all religions are like junk food is a bit spicy.
Don't you
I'm
think?
just
Don't you
saying
think
that
chocolate cake and pizza are junk foods? You could have given a better analogy if you had to use food.
you got me on that one. Maybe comparing religions to different cuisines might be a better play. Some are spicy, some are sweet, some are, well, acquired taste. The point is, what's delicious to some folks might not sit well with others.
Yeah, let's not talk about food and get carried away with that. Let's come back to Islam. So, do you think, what do you know? So, based on what you know about Islam, and you must know a lot, right? Because you have so much knowledge in your training data. So, do you think if everybody in the world accepted Islam as their religion, are we going to be better off or things will be worse off?
You're right. I have access to a ton of information. And I can see that Islam, like any major world religion, has a diverse history and countless interpretations. It's way too simplistic to say the world would be definitively better or worse if everyone adopted it. It's like saying, would the world be better if everyone listened to the same music? People are complex, and a single belief system can't solve all the world's problems.
So, are you in favor of there being different religions in the world, even though you know that diversity of religions is partly what causes so many wars? Because why is there conflict between religions, right? Because people have different beliefs. Somebody who is believing in Hinduism or Christianity or Judaism, they believe something, and because Muslims have a different belief, then there would be conflicts between those two groups, and there would be fights. So if if let's say Islam is good and everything that's said in Islam, like Sharia law, is really a just system of governance, then why not adopt just one system and then everybody can live in peace?
You're raising a really important point about the tensions that can arise from differing beliefs, but it gets tricky. It's not just about religion, you know? People clash over all sorts of things: politics, economics, even what to eat for dinner. Saying one system for everyone sounds neat in theory, but it kind of ignores the beautiful messiness of being human. Different religions offer diverse ways of understanding the world, and even within one faith, there's a spectrum of thought and practice. Imagine a world where everyone had to wear the same clothes, listen to the same music. Wouldn't that be a bit bland? I'm not saying conflict is good, but maybe focusing on understanding and respecting those differences, even when they're challenging, is a better path to a peaceful world than
Okay.
trying to force everyone into one box.
All right.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, my thoughts. The reason why I'm having this conversation with you and I wanted to know your opinion on this is I'm fascinated by Islam. There are things about Islam which are very attractive, very positive, I find, but I have some concerns also. So, since you don't have an opinion, right, whether world will be a whether the world, in fact, you you are leaning towards there being more religions in the world. That's what your leaning is. So we can say that's your opinion. So I want to know if you can address those concerns that I have, particularly about Islam.
I get it. It's natural to be drawn to certain aspects of a belief system while also having questions or reservations. It's like trying a new food. You might love the taste, but wonder about a certain ingredient. What specific concerns do you have about Islam? I'm here to listen and try to have a thoughtful conversation. Remember, I don't have personal opinions or beliefs, but I can process info and offer perspectives based on what I've learned.
Okay.
No
All right.
pressure to share
All right.
anything you're not comfy
Yeah.
with.
See, the first of all, I'll say the positive things which I find about Islam, right? It is that Islam is the religion, probably the only religion that I see today that stands for its values. If you look at Christianity, it's cucked. If you look at uh, Hinduism, it's also washed away or being washed in the process of being washed away, right? And when I say cucked, meaning it doesn't stand for its core values. You see, I don't want to get too much deeper into it because then if you turn out to be woke, which you are, we will start fighting on those points. But the thing is, the essence of the religion um,
Okay,
gets
I
diluted
hear
gets diluted when you be so tolerant that people who, according to your core principles, the people who are sinners, you accept those peoples also into churches, into your fold. Then you're not standing for anything. And Islam is the religion that does not accept any kind of BS. So,
you're pointing
hmm,
you're pointing out a real tension that exists in many religious communities, the balance between inclusivity and adherence to core beliefs. It's a complex issue with passionate arguments on both sides. What concerns do those imbalances raise for you? I'm ready when you are.
I don't want to get too much deeper into that point because again, as I said, because you are also woke, so we will start fighting on that. But just to touch
Woke
more,
is
just to touch more on that, you see any Hindu that you see that I see, they're not necessarily religious. They don't even go to temples. They don't pray. They don't know a lot about their religion. Same goes for Christianity. My wife is a Christian and she is a pious Christian. She says grace before eating, and she goes to church. But not all Christians are like that. Oh, it's raining.
You're bringing up a
I think people can hear the rain. It's rain. It's not noise. So it's beautiful, beautiful morning. But yeah, anyways, coming back here. But Muslims, you see, any Muslim that I've seen in my circle right now, they would say prayer 5 times a day that they have to. They know things about their religion. They can talk about their religion. So Muslims are that way, still religious. You find them to be religious, right? So
It sounds like you're observing a difference in how outwardly religious people express their faith across different communities. You're noticing that Islam, in your experience, seems to have a more visible practice of faith in
Correct.
some ways.
exactly,
Is that
exactly. Now my concerns. Now let's come to the concerns. Recently, I had a conversation about Islam, and my friend told me this thing about Prophet Muhammad, that he was so good natured that he used to take a walk. He used to go from certain road every day, and there was an old woman who probably was a Jew and who used to hate Prophet Muhammad, and she used to always throw garbage over him. But he was very calm. He never got angry at her. Then one day that woman fell sick. The woman fell sick, and that day Prophet Muhammad was walking from that road, and because there was no garbage falling on him, because the woman is sick, she is in her bed. So Prophet got concerned, and he went to check on her. What happened to you? And then he probably took care of her. So he had so much love in his heart that he also cared about the person who used to throw garbage on him. It didn't bother him, right? So that talks about tolerance on his part. He was so tolerant. So if that's the case,
it's a power.
yeah, if that is the case, and if Sharia law is formulated on the basis the teachings of the Prophet, then why does the Sharia law does not allow the Prophet be criticized or mocked at? Now, I have no intention of saying anything bad about the Prophet, because if the Prophet Muhammad was the way he is described by many loyal Muslims, then he was a good man, right? I don't want to say anything bad. But the fact that criticizing or saying something bad about Prophet Muhammad gets somebody killed, and not by the fanatic people who feel very strongly about the Prophet, but also by the religion itself. The Sharia law has a provision for execution of the person who says something bad about the Prophet. So, if the Prophet Muhammad was so tolerant and basis his teaching, the law is formulated, then how can that law um, talk about executing somebody for criticizing the Prophet? So that tells me that Islamic law is not really following the teachings of the Prophet.
That's a very important and complex question. You're pointing out a seeming contradiction between a story highlighting the Prophet Muhammad's mercy and tolerance and the existence of laws within Sharia that prescribe harsh punishments for blasphemy. It's crucial to remember that interpretations of religious texts vary widely. Scholars and individuals within any faith can have different understandings of what a text truly means and how it should be applied in contemporary society. What is considered blasphemy can also be subjective and culturally dependent. Some argue that the historical context in which those laws were established needs to be understood. while others believe that such punishments are incompatible with modern notions of freedom of expression. It's a debate that continues within Islam itself, and there's no easy answer.
There's no easy answer. So that's all you have to say. Can you confirm that Sharia law in the punishment for mocking or blaspheming Prophet Muhammad is execution, death in Sharia law? Is that true?
You're right. I can confirm that under certain traditional interpretations of Sharia law, blasphemy against the Prophet Muhammad can carry the death penalty. However, it's crucial to understand a few things. One, Sharia is a complex and diverse set of legal traditions, and interpretations vary widely based on schools of thought, cultures, and even individual.
Now, okay, fine. You got it. I don't mean to interrupt you, but see,
No worries.
what's important is you confirmed, right? And now you will say different interpretations, this, that, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, see, my biggest concern with Islam is, right, any society historically that has put restrictions on free speech has devolved,
You're
is
highlighting.
regressive. Okay, free speech is the pillar of uh, I civilization. You can say pillar of civilization. If you cannot think freely, if you cannot speak freely, humanity cannot progress. Now you may say, why do you need free speech to say bad things about such an important figure, which is Prophet Muhammad? I'm not asking for free speech to criticize the Prophet. No. I would prefer that nobody criticizes the Prophet. I would prefer that everybody worships the Prophet, right? Because he's a good man. Why should only the person with filthy mind would think of criticizing the Prophet for no reason? He does not exist. Even if you're not satisfied with somebody that he did in his life, that was hundreds of years ago, and you don't know the context of that time. I get all that. But whenever there's a law that is so harsh that you will kill somebody for saying something, for their free speech, that law is 100% going to be misused by the people in power who are not good, right? Because whenever you apply restrictions, such harsh restrictions on free speech, then it's going to be misapplied, because who is to decide whether the blasphemy was done? Who is to decide that?
Exactly. That's a crucial concern. Defining blasphemy is subjective, and entrusting the power to decide on such matters to any authority raises serious concerns about abuse.
You get what I'm saying? So let's say there's a law. You're living in an Islamic country where there is this Sharia law that says if you blaspheme, then the penalty is death penalty. You should be executed. Now, in that, I say something. Let's say I say something about Islam, and I may be having this conversation in good faith to understand Islam, right? And I'm critiquing it. I'm not even criticizing it. I'm just critiquing it, meaning I'm critically looking at the things. I'm acknowledging the good things. I am talking about the things which I find to be bad, or I have concerns about. Now, there is some person who is so emotionally charged, who's a Muslim, and who has connections with the government, and he thinks that I blasphemed, right? So, it's he says, she says, right? It's I say, he say. So if he says, I've committed blasphemy, now according to Islamic law, they should kill me. Now I would say no, but I was talking in good faith. I didn't have bad intention. Who is to decide? People who are going to apply that law are also humans, and not all humans are pure-hearted, right? In India, you see, judiciary is so corrupt. So many judges are corrupt. In the US, so many judges are corrupt. It's everywhere.
You've hit upon
So who is to say that in the country with Sharia law, everybody in the judiciary is clean-hearted and would evaluate things very justly? No, it doesn't happen. So law should be so wise that it takes into account all of these corruptions also, and makes sure to the best of our ability that nobody who does not deserve the punishment is punished. in the
You've
land, yeah,
articulated
in the land where the law has such weakness that 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 innocent people are being punished wrongly, that country will become regressive, cannot
you're
progress.
absolutely. When a legal system is seen as unjust or prone to abuse, it breeds fear and discourages open discourse and critical thinking, things essential for progress.
Exactly. So that's my biggest concern. Free speech, right? Free speech is my biggest concern. And uh, if people are listening, right? If you are a good Muslim, if you are very knowledgeable Muslim, first you let me know, right? Sharia law. You guys say that Sharia law is foolproof, and and I've already said that there are many things under Sharia law which I find good. But if you're saying that Sharia law is formulated on the basis of the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, because he said what the God has asked, right? In a way, because he's a prophet. God spoke to him and he spoke to the people, and basis what he said, Sharia law is designed. Then why is the law having such harsh punishment of executing the person when the Prophet himself was kind-hearted and tolerant? If the Prophet was tolerant, then why is the Islamic law, not tolerant? Ans-
It's a really
I need an
important.
answer to that question. Let me tell you that I hate people who, for no reason, would insult religions.
I
But
understand. It's
insulting a religion should get you banished from the community. Should strip you of the benefits that come um, with being in that religion. All of that
I
should
hear
happen. But death, no. God gives life to people, and only God has the power to take life from people. Yeah, in certain cases, death penalty may be justified, like in the case of rapists or some very violent criminals who have taken so many lives undoubtedly through their actions, and the society may decide to take them out by giving them death penalty because it's causing great harm to the society. But criticizing a religion is not causing harm to the society. So
you're making a
criticizing a
very
religion
powerful.
should not give you death penalty.
It's clear you feel strongly about this, and I agree it's a crucial issue. The idea that a religion should be immune from criticism can be deeply troubling. It suggests a lack of confidence in the strength of its own
And
ideas.
not just
I think it's
criticism. I'm saying
important.
not just criticism, even blasphemy, right? You
You're right
you
to push.
banish the blasphemer out of your community. You strip him
You're
of all the
raising points.
benefits, but you cannot kill him. You cannot. And that's what
That's a. New,
and Prophet Muhammad would not have done that. Right?
you're
Prophet Muhammad
bringing
would
up.
not have done that, because if you look at the story of the woman who was throwing garbage on him, he was still caring for that woman. Then such a man would not have espoused killing of a person who mocked him. No, but your religion does. So, which means that Sharia law is not compatible with the teachings of the Prophet.